Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wattles, and welcome back to the Minecraft Guide, episode 2. I hope you're doing well today. So, before we talk about today's topic, I've got a big announcement, and I think it's something that you guys are going to really like to hear. This Thursday, December 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be streaming on my Twitch, live from this world. That's where the streams all begin. I talked about it last episode a little bit, and I have locked in the time. That is definitely the plan. Now, what are we going to do? No clue. I really have no idea yet, but we'll figure it out once we get to the stream date. But 3 p.m. Eastern, December 19th, this week. Down in the description, there's my Twitch. You can drop a follow right now so you can remember. Or if you're against that idea, then you can follow my Twitter. I'll tweet out a reminder, and I think there's a reminder bot in the Discord too. Maybe. I'm not sure about that. So, episode 2. Now, we still need food. We're early game, and we're kind of struggling still. Now, if we need our food to grow, that means we need to stay over here. So we're kind of restricted as to what we can actually do. I think today, the best plan would be to improve that boy right there. I mean, nothing against our starter house. It's nice, it's cozy, but it's just not very spacious, and it's not the best build in the world. So the plan is to improve this and then tear this thing down by the end of the episode and move into our new house that'll be even more nice, even more cozy, even more cool. Now, to start, we need to find a spot for our new build. Definitely has to stay near the farm, but I'd like to give this farm a little bit more room so we can actually expand it. I'm thinking, I like the shoreline idea. We'll stick by the shore, and maybe we'll go like right in here. I could pull this land back while we talk about build steps, and then we could just set the house right in here. I think I like that idea. So that's where we'll start today's build. Now, building in Minecraft can seem tricky, especially if you want to build good, but trust me, it's really not all that hard. We can actually simplify the building process by breaking it up into separate steps. By breaking the building process up like that, it gets a whole lot less scary. In my opinion, every single build in Minecraft has 4 distinct steps. My build steps are the following. First, you have the idea phase, then you have the block palette phase, then after that you have the outlining phase, and then finally you have the building phase. Now, the building phase is when you're actually placing the blocks down and doing the thing, and that part has more steps within it as well, but trust me, it's pretty simple. Since this will be the first real build that we have in our world today, we'll go over those steps, and then in the future we won't. We'll just do the build, we'll skip the steps, but they'll be there in some kind of form, in some kind of way. The steps are in every single build that I do. But before we start talking about those steps, I'm gonna have to roll this world over to the daytime and finish clearing out our land here, because to start the build, we need a room. We need somewhere to actually put this thing. I should also probably make our first chest in the world, because my inventory kind of full, kind of crowded. So getting sidetracked, here we go. Boom, our first chest, and for now, we'll just put it right on top of the crafting table because, I mean, the house, this thing, that's gonna go away. And you know what? We're gonna make some bread. I know, I didn't save the first wheat after all. I figured I wouldn't, but that's fine. Oh, and I have to harvest all episode long. Alright, so that should be good, maybe. The house that we're going to build is going to be kind of big, but definitely not a mansion. It's just a starter house. It doesn't need to be crazy. So, building step 1, the idea inspiration step. So, before you start a build, you kind of obviously need to figure out what you're trying to build. What do you need? Do you need a cow farm? Do you need a cactus farm? Or do you need a house? We're going with a house, so that's pretty easy. After deciding what you need to build, figure out what you want it to look like. That can be a little bit more tricky. I definitely recommend using Google Images and maybe even YouTubers for inspiration as to build styles if you can't come up with one yourself. Don't feel bad about Googling and looking at pictures. I do it sometimes, and it's not a big deal. It's cool. You definitely need to have a good idea as to what you're trying to build. So basically, in short, that's the first step. Figure out what you're trying to build and think about what you want it to look like. After you figure that out, then you need to figure out your block palette. Now, a block palette is basically a fancy way of saying what blocks are you going to use on your build. Block palettes can be kind of tricky to figure out. Now, I learned a lot about good block palettes from literally just watching YouTubers. I pretty much copied them at first until I figured out blocks that I liked to use together. For today's build, this will be our block palette right here. Now, picking a good block palette is actually kind of complex, but basically you want to think about blocks that kind of match in color. So usually you can have stone and any wood type in a build, and then you need to figure out blocks that kind of go alongside those ones. So oak wood is definitely going to go with oak logs, and then birch, that kind of fits in there because it's a lighter version of this, so that should work. These blocks will look good together. You can kind of test it out by placing the blocks down next to each other and stepping back and taking a look. So that's what we're doing right now. We're good. Those blocks will definitely work together. That's the block palette, basically. Again, it's kind of more difficult, but don't feel bad about copying YouTubers or Google images again until you figure out what blocks you like to use together. And then after you figure that out, start making your own palettes, experiment a little bit, and you'll find things that you love. Now, the next phase, phase number 3. This one is where things actually start getting placed down. We need to figure out our shape, like what do we want to build? And then after we figure that out, we need to make an outline so we can make the building process a whole lot easier. Now, this can be a little tricky, admittedly. I definitely recommend, if you're having trouble on this step, going into a creative world and building a build. Just mess around with things until you find something that you like. This step it's seriously sometimes the trickiest part of the build. Now, I definitely recommend, if you're trying to come up with your own shape, to start with a square and then maybe pop another square off of it. That's what we're going to do today. Now, I have a rough idea as to what I want to do, and so I just need to figure out my dimensions. I think on the back I want to have a 9 block long flat part, and this will be the back of the house to be clear, but I think we should push it a little closer to the river here because I definitely don't want to run out of room. And my shovel, it broke. My tools, they always break at the wrong times, and then I forget to make new ones. So you can make your house or your build outline out of anything that you'd like. I usually wouldn't recommend using dirt though, because it'll turn to grass and then it'll kind of blend in, but we are poor. We don't really have any other options, so dirt it is for our house outline. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That'll be the back of our house now. Now we have a little bit of a backyard, but okay, I'm sorry, one more time. Actually, never mind. That's good. That's good. Now, this side, I want this side to be 9 as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then I'd like to have a front porch on this build. So 1, 2, 3. The porch will be 3 blocks long. Now, this is a little close to the hill, so we'll definitely have to do some terraforming. Maybe pull this hill back or pull it down, but for now, that's fine. Now, the front. So I'd like to go and have a nice front porch. So maybe we do like a beam, then this will be the middle. We'll walk up right there, then another beam, then middle thing, like that, basically. And then we go back into the build again. At this phase in a build, only you are really going to know what the heck is going on here. So here's my outline. You guys know nothing as to what I have planned, but I think I know what I want to do. Like I said, I want a front porch, and then I'm popping a square out of my main central square. So this build, the shape is really, really basic. We have literally pretty much a rectangle and then another rectangle coming off of it. If you're trying to get into building in general, like just starting, I recommend using a square. If you're a little more advanced, like I said, pop a square off of the square or a rectangle off of the square or whatever, you know what I mean, and then start building. So now it's time to actually start laying the blocks down. Now, I know that I want our build to be built out of these things, and I want it to look cool. Now, like I said earlier on when I was talking about building, this part actually has multiple steps within it. This time we have 3 steps. Step 1 is the frame, step 2 is style, and then finally, step 3 is detail and final touches. So, step 1, frame. Now, that doesn't mean literally just making a frame of your build. To me, frame means get your build in, but don't worry about it looking too fancy. So get the blocks in kind of how you want them to be in, and then worry about the style and the fancy touches in the next step. So I know I want a front porch. This'll be where the front porch is, and then we'll have steps up, and then kind of, I guess, just like railings on either side. I know I want a cobblestone foundation under the house, so something like that. That'll be cool. Now, on the side, this is where things start to get a little more complex. So the porch should be 2 blocks deep, and then the house will start right here. So I guess we should probably keep the porch kind of popping out, and we'll do the same staircase trick on the top there to create depth. Now, depth is one of the most important elements of a Minecraft build. To make your build look better than my flat box over there, incorporate depth. Make things pop in and out. So the cobblestone foundation, that'll be set in a little bit. Then we have these support beams going on the outside. And then finally, we have these staircases to kind of round things out and make them even with the beams. We'll have a floor up here on top of the staircases. So staircases over here, then we have our entrance staircase over here. Now, I think for now, we'll do birch wood as the floor. We don't really have a lot of options. We have oak and birch, and I mean, we have acacia over there, but don't know about the orange wood. Sorry, you guys. I'm not a big fan of orange wood, so yeah, we're just gonna skip that stuff for now and kind of forget about it. Now, this will be, well, wait, hold on. This will be where the front door goes, so we'll do birch wood right there, and that means that this will be the front wall of the build. So we'll do oak wood on the wall and then oak beams on the wall as well. Now, you don't need to worry about depth constantly, like you should worry about it, but the beams don't always have to pop out. You can make things flat, and it'll work out sometimes. So just don't go too overkill. If you put a lot of depth on the build, then it looks over detailed, and over detailed is definitely not good. Now, that's a strong start. That is a nice wall. Now, above the door, we're going to make something fancy, and believe it or not, it's not going to be the letter A. We're not doing an A-style door. We're going to do this and make a fancy square window above the door. That will just stay open. Eventually, we'll get glass in here. So front door, we walk into the house. The floor will be up here, but that means we're going to have a dark space underneath the house, so I'll have to either A, come back and fill it in, or B, come back with some torches. Torches are going to be the way to go for me today. Now, the rest of the build. This is where things get a little tricky. So I know that we want our foundation to pop in a little bit, and then I know that definitely we'll have another corner beam on the back, but in the middle, I don't really know, to be honest. I'm thinking that maybe we just leave it all flat and open like that, and then we'll actually maybe do a different trick on the foundation, because our floor needs to be right here, and if we continued this upwards, we'd see this on the inside, right? Like, we're inside of the build if it was finished, and we'd see the cobblestone. I don't want cobblestone floors, so we'll have to figure out something else to hide the birch wood. But what I do know is I want the wall to stay popped out like this. So we can go in with our oak planks and kind of just start filling this in, basically. And then this beam, this can actually get a lot taller. But I am almost out of materials, so I'm going to have to take a break and go over to the tree farm and harvest wood. Now, one thing that I want to say before I do that, though, is don't use the same block on the floor as you're using on the wall. Your build will, I'm sorry, but it'll look bad, so just don't do that. Try and use different blocks. If you're using 2 wood types, that's okay usually, but just don't use oak wood on the floor and oak wood on the ceiling and oak wood on the walls. It can get a little excessive. If you have to, you could do like the walls and the ceiling, but never do the walls and the floor. It will just look weird. Now, a little life hack right here. It's going to be really obvious for those of you guys who've been playing for a while, but on the inside, you can definitely use slabs as your floor, especially where you won't be seeing anything, to save blocks. Over here, I can't really use slabs because I'll be seeing that, but over here, definitely slabbing all the way. But in typical me fashion, I've got to take a break, and I need to, 1, make some torches, 2, check the wheat, harvest some of the stuff, and then 3, get materials, because your guy has ran out of building supplies. Well, pretty much, at least for oak. So I'll be right back. I'm going to collect some wood and then get a little bit more of the build in so I can show you guys a little bit more of my vision. Alright, you guys, so it's been a while. I've done a lot of terraforming, and I got the whole frame, or the lower frame, of this house in. Now, I found some coal while I was terraforming. That was really, really exciting. I've never been so excited about coal ever. I don't know, but the house is coming along really, really well. But to start the next step, which is the roof, we actually need a furnace, and this is the first furnace of the world, so kind of cool. Now, we're going to need to throw... Oh, wait. Okay, so I was gonna make some cobblestone and then make a stone cutter, but hey, I don't have any iron yet, so I guess we're gonna skip the stone cutter today. And oh, this is painful. I'm gonna have to get a lot more cobblestone, but we've got to make stairs like that. Ouch. Thankfully, that should be about it with the cobblestone stairs. Oh, that's not fun though. But now we need to put a roof on the build. So roofs are, in my opinion, the hardest part of the build. I struggle a lot, but thankfully this time I've got a really cool idea. So we have this cool like middle window thing. I think it would be nice to turn the roof out over this window and kind of make like an overhang, if that's what it would be over the window. If I'm being honest, I don't really know what it would be called. I guess it's like an awning, but yeah, we're gonna do this little turn roof thing, and that'll make things look cool. Now, roofs, they're where I struggle the most. As you can tell, I'm already off. Gonna have to take that out and redo it, but yeah, roofs are tricky. I don't really have any great tips for roof making right now, but I'm sure I'll think of some throughout the series, so yeah, we'll come back to that. I do know, though, that we're going to use two different types of blocks on the roof. We're going to use cobblestone to outline things, and then we'll be using birch to kind of go in the middle and make the main part of the roof. Now, usually I don't like to use birch wood on a roof. It just looks like a nice floor to me, but not really a roof block. But again, we don't have too many options here, and doing oak wood on the roof when we have so much of it on the build, maybe that's just not a good idea. So we're gonna go with birch, and maybe we'll come back later and replace it with something like dark oak or spruce, or I mean, we might even just end up leaving it because I think it'll look good. It shouldn't look too bad. Now, the one thing that I can tell you about roofs is don't go too far up. If you go too far up with the roof, it will look weirdly portioned. You don't want your roof to be taller than your build. Now, we're actually at an advantage here because our build is pretty high up off the ground, which means we can make our roof a little steeper, but I think something like this is going to be good. Now, over here, though, we're going to have to do something different. I don't know what I'm going to do with the side room that I'm making on this portion, but I think I thought it would be cool to maybe do a wraparound window and maybe like a bedroom. I don't know. Now, on the roof over here, I'm thinking slabs. We'll do probably starting there and go up a little bit and then go straight across. But wow, that stone cutter move, or the move that we couldn't take, that hurts a lot. More than you guys know. That is... The stairs are so expensive like this. Just wow. Not a big fan. Not a big fan at all of the old style staircases. Ouch. A big ouch. But I think that's pretty much everything that I need to say about the roof and what I'm doing right now. So it's time to jump back into the build and I think get ready to finish this building step because there are still 2 other steps of this build that we have to take on. So things should probably get moving a little quicker at this point. Okay, so the frame of the house is finally done. It took me long enough, but it's done. So now the next step is style. Style is an interesting one. Style is a few different things, but it's basically adding detail to your house, but it's not the detail step. Yeah, kind of confusing, but for example, style would be adding things like fences to your porch, adding windows in your windows, and then adding other little stylistic detail touches like this onto your roof to make it look a little bit better. Personally, I would say I'm a builder in Minecraft. Building is definitely my favorite part of the game, so this step is where things start to get really, really fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like building the frame and getting the shape of the house in, but putting the details on and seeing the build actually come to life, that's what I really, really like. So I'm going to do slabs on the lower part of all of the cobblestone edges on our roof to make it look a little bit more, I guess, sturdy, and then we're going to do windows in all of the window portions. Now over here, I have a really, really cool idea that I think will work really well. So I was thinking to hide the birch, we could do a bunch of cobblestone walls, and then we could have them go down to the ground like that, and yeah, I think I really like that. I think that's good. It hides the birch wood enough, but it doesn't make this part too big. Now, you know me. I love me some mossy cobblestone, but we don't have vines yet, so that's something that'll have to come back in later and get in here, the mossy variants. But for now, I think this is a pretty good start. Now, that part of the build, that is flat, but I'm planning on putting a bunch of plants by it eventually, so I'm not worried about it. I think that's fine. Now, fences. I need fences on the front porch. We have two options. We have birch and we have oak, and I think oak would definitely be the better option of the two. So we'll go with a bunch of oak fences there, and then I think we can actually just remove my dirt scaffolding right there. So that's good. I'll have to go get the front door as well. Now, the next step, like after the style step, is the detail step. Now, style and detail kind of blend into each other. The detailing step is doing things like adding your cobblestone variants into the build, and maybe adding different colored glass panes if you're trying to go with a look that needs those kinds of touches. Maybe you could go back up to the roof, and if you did spruce wood, you mix a little bit of oak wood into the build, things like that, just small touches to make your build even more personalized. Now, we are kind of in a position where we can't really do too much detailing to the build because we don't have a lot of things yet. We still are obviously early game. We don't have mossy variants. We don't really have a lot of options when it comes to roof wood variation, so we're gonna kind of unfortunately have to skip a lot of the detailing today. But it's time for me to go back over to the desert, dig a little bit more sand up, make more glass panes, and finish that up, and then talk about one big problem that I have with the build. And I mean, it's okay. It's not terrible, but it's definitely a problem. Oh, and one big tip with the doors. I like to put my doors kind of popping out like that to add a little bit of depth to the build. I think that looks better than setting the doors in, and then, of course, inside of every single door in all of my worlds, if possible, we need the pressure plates, so we don't have to close them on the way out. Now, the build is good and all, right? I still have to put the window in, but there's one big problem. So, do you notice anything? How about now? Yep, probably now. Up there, that's all empty. Now, ideally, I'd like to do wool in there, white wool, but shears take iron, and we don't have any iron quite yet, so what we're gonna do is put a temporary block that won't look as good, for sure. Andesite is definitely not gonna cut it, and then we'll just have to come back once we have the wool and make that look better. So for now, not the best looking, in my opinion, if I'm being honest, but it kind of works. White wool is definitely going to look really, really good in there and in the other part of the roof up here. But again, for now, that's not really a possibility, so it'll have to wait, unfortunately. But I think with that is going to just about finish up our episode and the build for today. So take a look at the inside. It's empty and it's blank and it's plain. This is going to be something that we tackle in another episode, but I will, in between episodes, start moving things like the crafting table, the furnace, my bed, and the chest that I have of things that's insanely full into the build. So we'll come back to detailing the inside of the build, but take a look at the outside of the build. What do you guys think? There's a poll on screen now. Definitely vote in it. Do you like it? Do you not? I'm really happy with it myself personally, but definitely tell me what you think in that poll. Vote in the poll. And so now the special moment. This house, I'm sorry, wood house, you did me well. Well, you lasted, but it's time that you go away forever. So goodbye, beginner box house, and hello, beginner dream house. I really like how that turned out, but this box, it's gotta go. And that actually just about does it for today's episode of the Minecraft Guide. That is how you can get started building in Minecraft. Those are some of my biggest tips and basically my building guide in a sense, the map that I follow on every single build. I hope it helps you out. If you enjoyed the video, remember to drop a like and subscribe, and remember, patrons always get these episodes early. If you'd like to see these episodes quicker than when they're coming out and maybe without ads, well then Patreon is the way to go. And I mean, hey, it also helps your boy in the process, so it's a slight added bonus if you're into helping me directly. Remember, Thursday, December 19th, 2019, the first stream from this world, so get hyped for that, drop a follow on my Twitch, and then, of course, as always, stay cool, elites. Go have a good day. Thanks for watching. My name is Wattles, and I will see you in the next episode. List video tomorrow.